I was looking at the kind of trade-offs that one would have, not only focusing on minimizing cost and maximizing profit, but also looking at how one could also minimize your impact on the environment through minimizing carbon footprint. Mehran Zarabini, I am the CEO of Van Dijk and Mate Group in Durban, South Africa.
Tell me a little bit about the history of Van Dijk. It's a really well-known brand in South Africa, and it must have evolved a lot since it started in the 40s.
It came about around 1948, primarily as a flooring or soft flooring manufacturer. And over the years, it kind of evolved to manufacturing different kinds of products.
And one of your other businesses is the Mate Group. Tell me a bit about that one.
Around about 2014, 2015, we were looking at ways of incorporating recycled content into some of the products that we manufacture. And then we came across, obviously, the abundance of waste tires, especially in South Africa. We decided that we could try and incorporate some of that raw material into some of the new products that we wanted to manufacture. And when we looked at the local market, there were very few suppliers. In fact, many of them were operating at capacity, or they weren't willing to supply. So we actually decided to import tire rubber crumb from France at that stage, which obviously didn't make sense from an environmental perspective, considering the carbon footprint, etc. And then we came across a smaller manufacturer very close to where our factory is based in New Germany, in KZN, and was an individual who had recently started out in recycling. And obviously he didn't have a customer base, so we approached him. We got on extremely well. His name was Mr. Mate. It was just a natural fit to join together.
Tell me about the challenges you must have faced moving your business and acquiring new businesses in South Africa.
The primary challenges, especially when we were trying to establish the recycling company, at the time the legislation was very strict, so we had to get a waste management license, which obviously took quite a lot of time before we were able to operate. So even though we'd invested heavily in equipment and building a new premises, etc., from a logistical point of view, it has been a challenge, but fortunately we're kind of over that as we speak at the moment.
Tell me about rubber crumb. I confess I had to look this up. I'd never heard of it, but I was amazed by its applications.
Yes, so rubber crumb obviously derived from tires. At Mate Group, we focus specifically on recycling radial truck tires for simple reasons. It has a high rubber content and has a high steel content, but also has a very low fiber content. So from a waste perspective, we essentially have zero waste. We're able to recycle more or less 99% of the tire itself. The applications that it's used for is wide and varying and growing.
Let's talk about greenhouse emissions. I know this is something you watch very carefully. Since you started using recycled rubber, have you seen those drop?
Once we were manufacturing flooring products as well, we embarked on implementing things like ISO 14064 in order to measure our impact from an environmental perspective. And obviously, we've been able to dramatically reduce greenhouse gas emissions over the years by more than 70%. A lot of those changes quite interesting and not involved a lot of investment, but have been more behavioral changes.
What's next for your businesses? Let's look longingly beyond the pandemic. Are we looking at expansion, acquisitions, new products? What's next?
So we've established some strategic alliances with companies established in the UK who are active in the built environment, especially around the acoustic flooring side. And they have also helping us develop more innovative products, in which there's a demand for in the UK. We have shipped samples and we're starting to invest in new equipment which will be able to supply that market. So going forward, we're just going to be generating new revenue streams, utilizing the same raw materials, but manufacturing more innovative products and kind of participating in the value stream going forward.